All right, shalom, brothers and sisters. Most High in Christ bless. Hope everyone has a happy Sabbath. All praise to the Most High for one more. Um, Tonight's topic. Thank y'all as always for tuning in. Tonight's topic is going to be called the pillars. If you haven't already seen the pillars, okay. Keep this in mind. Um, and I say this from time to time, and it's not the greatest thing, but it's a reality we deal with. Um, if any brother is in a position to be able to teach, or whether it be class format or he's going to the street, whatever it is, if you're low on material, so to speak, look at the nation. Usually, Israel, brothers and sisters, will give you something, some type of foundation to build off of. You can watch the people and see what type of lesson you need to be able to put out. Something that the nation seems like it might need. Though it might seem like it falls on deaf ears, it is what it is. The Lord said, don't worry about people's unbelief. A lot of this stuff that happens that we teach on is based upon warnings and judgment to come, because a lot of brothers and sisters don't want to repent. So these words are not going to go out void like the Lord tells us. But at the end of the day, you're supposed to be called to do your job. You got to make sure you're fulfilling your office. You keep that in mind too as we go on. But Lord's will, the class helps brothers and sisters in some way, shape, or form. I always try to think about just looking at rethinking how you're doing your walk. That's it. Be more critical on different things. Pay attention to certain things you weren't before. But with all that being said, tonight's topic, the pillars. Keep this in mind as this generation, my generation, based on age or when I was born, whatever it may be, my generation or yours is determined. The success of it is determined usually on how the previous generation, the generation that preceded us, what they left us with, whether it be in ruins or whether it be something that is tangible to build upon. Usually, the success of this generation depends on the one that was prior to us. Okay, it's not always like that with every facet of life, whatever, but it is inevitable that your environment, you will become somewhat of a product of the environment. And if you're lucky enough to escape it, a lot of times Israel's unfortunate in those situations, how we were raised as the curses. But if you're fortunate enough to escape it, you can't really escape the fact that however your environment was, whatever it was, it's going to shape and perceive how you see the world moving forward, whether that be negatively or positively. You would hope it's positively, but with this nation, the Most High has put us in these situations because of our disobedience. So, you look at, for instance, I'm sure the one of the things lately trending is the Disney situation. I'm sure people have seen. I've seen a small clip of the video. It's not really surprising. Esau is as vile as it comes, but the system and the environment that they built in Disney. If you look at the history of it, Walt Disney was a sick dude. These all people they're formulating their movies and different things and the scenes that they do based off of the pedophilia, the nature of being, inordinate affection, dealing with younger generations, children, whatever it may be, is sick. I don't see why people will be surprised. Kids shouldn't be watching that stuff anyway. Though it seems to be more, I guess, more prominent now. Maybe the woke culture, maybe that's it. But these things that are happening, if you look at that, the way that Disney's going or has been, that people are catching on to, you think about fast forwarded 2 generations out. All right, the kids that are 5, put them at 30, put them at 25. Those children are going to become what they've seen. It's like the scriptures tell you in Proverbs 22, you raise a child, you train them up in the way they should go, they're not going to depart. Well, it's the same way it works in reverse. If you give them some type of wickedness or evil nature to view and to be consumed with, of course they're going to mimic what they see. Kids repeat phrases all the time. They might not remember certain things. They seem to remember curse words. They pick those things up. They're like sponges. So what they've dealt with in the past, they're gonna usually become something of that light in the future, some remnant of what they've seen. And this is the same thing for us as we look at previous generations and the mishaps and the certain situations we've read about. Um, we have become what we've been taught, and a lot of that should be fact checked. Like the Lord tells us all the time, you study to show yourself approved. A lot of people aren't doing that. I mean, at all. There's a lot of bad situations because people are not reading the Most High's word. Some people just wait for, all praise to the Most High if you're watching this. I hope it can help in some way, but you still have to be able to isolate and go study the scriptures because the Most High is working through us all. But if you're not doing that, you can easily be shifted in the wrong direction, be made to believe that you're thinking independently or moving with the spirit based on who you're around and people that you have learned from, you come up at the feet of. You are going to get a portion of their spirit. It's the way it works. So it's not always a good thing, obviously, but you have to be aware of things like that. All right. So just try to keep all that in mind as we go forward. It should make sense to y'all, but hang in there with me. Tonight's topic again is the pillars. Let's start in Genesis 28. Genesis chapter 28 and Genesis 28 and start at verse 10. It says, And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. You read something like this, the exact same thing of this in John chapter 1. All right. Christ mentions this in John, at the end of John 1. It's being shown something. We'll read the precept in a second. Verse 13. Verse 13. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Jacob. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee, and in thee, and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So if you read up above in this chapter, Jacob was on the run because what transpired between him and his brother and the father Isaac. Jacob got the blessing. Esau was the so-called white man. Got a blessing that he's fulfilling today, but he was blessed with the sword, warfare. Jacob got everything else of substance, the kingdom, everything. So in this time, you can imagine putting yourself in his shoes, on the run of your brother trying to kill you, has vowed to kill you after your father dies. And a lot of these, we can always look back at some of these stories and understand, if you start kind of paying attention to, the nuances of it, but imagine yourself here. You can imagine mentally what Jacob might have been going through. This has happened to a lot of us in many different ways, where you're in seems like dire straits and the Lord appears. This happens a lot. A lot of times it's like the Lord shows up like Superman at the end of the day. You think that everything is over. You think there's no way out. You think there's no shot. Instantly the Most High appears. So certain things, like the Lord uses adversity to forge people's paths. Psalms. Let's go to Psalms real quick. Coming right back. Psalms 140, 142, 143. No, Psalms 142. I'll start at verse 1. It says, I cried unto the Lord with my voice. With my voice unto the Lord did I make my supplication. I poured out my complaint before him. I showed before him my trouble. Verse 3 is the point. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. In the way wherein I walked, have they privily laid a snare for me. So happens a lot. This is the reason why you have to have a level of faith and you can't just give up, because the Most High is doing these different things to help you to become the best you can be. Though it seems, maybe could you use a better example to make me develop into a better person? But once again, adversity, trials, and tribulations is the best way to get the best out of somebody. Believe it or not, when things are great, you don't look to adjust. You don't worry about the deficiencies. Only when certain things are placed in your lap and you have decisions to make can the Most High determine, okay, what type of way is this person going to go? Can you be reliable? Are you going to uphold what the Lord has been showing you this whole time? Or are you going to flake and do like everybody else and show that you're not worthy of the office the Most High has called you to fulfill? All right, that's not good. But you have this a lot, and people have to get to a point where you really trust in the Lord. It's because I say this all the time, but whether you're in a congregation or you're building with brothers or just have brothers and sisters in the truth is not really a large number or whatever it may be, any part of your walk, remember that these brothers and sisters are there for help and support. But don't ever get twisted. You can't get to the point where you trust man beyond the Most High. The Lord knew you, has always been with you before you knew anybody. Before you came out of the womb, the Lord knew you. So you have to keep that in mind always. Trust the Most High. He'll never let you down. Let's go back to Genesis 28. And the Lord speaks on this to Jacob. But this is something, again, it can be said a lot of times, because back then you see the Lord manifesting himself in different ways, face to face sometimes, or just through another person or through a prophet. These times we have the book. So nothing's changed per se. You had to believe the words back then, and you have to believe them now. It's still the Most High's word. You just have to believe it at the end of the day. Remember, in the Old Testament, you see situations where they were shown signs. Some people might be like, well, of course I believe I saw the Red Sea split. Well, they didn't. So you can't just say that. This is a different level of faith in this time, in this generation is great, because the Most High is giving us nothing but this. So are you going to believe it or are you not? All right. Genesis 28, verse 15. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land, for I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And that's, again, it's being said and it's being reiterated, but you have to be able to be the person that really believes that, okay? Even as times get tough. The Most High is impossible for him to fail. Just make him prove it. It's not in a disrespectful way, but the Lord always says that, call on me. I'm going to be there for you. Put him to the test and see if the Most High will let you down. It's not going to happen. So even with this, the Lord is saying this should be your baseline for the truth. Okay, from everything. If the Lord say he's going to be with you, he's going to be with you. But this is something that you should keep in mind as you continue in your walk. The Most High is always going to be there. For your benefit, to help you, but I'm talking about the Lord's always going to be there to see what you're doing. So you have to be on your best behavior for him, okay? In every situation, whether it be in the many eyes of people or whether you're just by yourself, wherever it may be. You can be the gung-ho 100% person in the truth out in front of people. But then when you get behind closed doors, you smoking, you fornicating, you stealing, you doing all kinds of different things. The Most High sees it one way or the other. But this should be your baseline for fear. This should be something that you keep in mind because the Most High is always there. Don't worry about men. Worry about what the Most High think. All right. Verse 16. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Watch this. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. I mentioned the precept earlier. Let's go there real quick. Wisdom of Solomon. We're coming right back. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 10. The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse I start at verse 9. But wisdom delivered from pain those that attended upon her. Verse 10. When the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, talking about Jacob, she guided him in right paths, showed him the kingdom of God, and gave him knowledge of holy things, made him rich in his travails, and multiplied the fruit of his labors. All right, let's go back. Genesis 28 again. I went there because as you see this, the dream that Jacob had, the Lord shows himself at the top of the ladder, lets him know who he is. It's your interaction. If I'm not mistaken, it's the first interaction you see with Jacob and the Lord, dealing like this on this level. Letting him know he's the God of his fathers. He's always going to be there for him. All right. So he saw that portion of that, the kingdom of God. Jacob arose, set up a pillar, and poured oil upon it. Keep that in mind. Genesis 28 verse 19. And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of that city was called Luz at the first. Now, if you look up the word Bethel, it means house of God. Okay. House of God. Verse 20. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. Now remember, up above, this is what Jacob's saying as a vow. Remember, up above, the Most High is not a man that he shall lie. He already confirmed it. He's going to be there. So now Jacob, it's on him to fulfill what the Lord has called him to do, because the Lord's not going to fail. So now it's all on Jacob. Verse 22. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. Now remember, when you read in like Sirach 35, it talks about the offerings. A person keeping commandments is offerings enough. So Jacob taking on what the Most High wants him to do, that's a level of, that's another show of offerings that he's giving to the Lord. He's doing what the Most High has asked him to do. And that's all the Most High has ever asked of us. He never wanted sacrifice. Never wanted the Israelites to do sacrifice. I'm talking, once again, to the so-called blacks and Hispanics whose fathers are of Negro and Indian descent. These are the biblical Israelites, the ones that suffer the curses throughout the earth. This message is always to them. So the Lord dealt with us completely different than he dealt with the other nations. And we're reading about it now. So the Lord has commanded Jacob to walk a certain way. The Lord said, I'm not going to forsake you. I'm going to be with you wherever you go. From the north, south, east, west, I'm always going to be there. So we know that the Most High is not a man that he should lie. So we know he's going to fulfill what he said he's going to fulfill. All these things that we're reading about, prophecy, the history, all of it has already come to pass. A lot of the things have not unfolded yet, which should scare some folks that's not trying to get on the right path. Everybody's got time and chance at the end of the day. So Jacob says, I'll give my 10th, his offering. I want to come back to it. And this is a level, again, of humility, okay? Jacob understands how fragile he is. His brother wanted to kill him. He had to leave. He had to leave. This is a level of being humble and understanding where your bread is buttered at, so to speak. All that stuff comes from the hand of the Most High, okay? Let's go to 1 Kings 19. Just an example of things anointed, okay? 1 Kings 19, verse 14. And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. This isn't true. Not saying that Elijah is lying. This is how he felt. And I say that because a lot of brothers and sisters might feel that same way today because you look across the landscape of how this nation operates. You sometimes might get the thought in your head, it seems like, I mean, is anybody going to wake up? I mean, not based off of the people that in the, not based off the people that look like they're in the truth. They, they seem to be growing in numbers. But who's genuine in this? I mean, it's rare. Um, though the Most High has the numbers, He's going to fulfill what He's going to do. We don't see it all in front of our face, which comes right back to that level of faith you're supposed to have. So don't ever get into this mindset of being like, I'm the only one out here. Don't think about it like that. All right, it's not true. Most High, so He's waking up the numbers, and He's going to seal those that are supposed to be called from the very beginning anyway. Verse 15. And the Lord said unto him, Go, return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria, and Jehu the son of Nimshah shalt thou anoint to be king over Israel, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Maholah shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. Don't laugh. Some of these names is hard. But this is you reading like even in Sirach, you have kings being anointed, you have prophets being anointed. In Sirach, it talks about princes being anointed. These are supposed to be mainstay positions. When something's anointed, oil goes back to the same thing with a particular type of spirit. Um, but these are supposed to be positions of longevity. This is not supposed to be one person's in this position and then the door rotates and then they're out and somebody else takes a seat. It's not supposed to be like that. Okay. The Most High has put these people in these positions for a reason. So you're supposed to take this thing with sincerity and a level of seriousness. But you have to keep in mind that you weren't born in this seat. Like Israel's a righteous nation and royalty, but certain people get to levels of elevation and they forget who they are. You have to remember you weren't born in this seat. The Most High called you to fulfill this, okay? But Most High's got a contingency plan. It comes with stipulations. If you're not fulfilling what you need to fulfill, you're out of here. But some people take it like the Lord is working like the Supreme Court. Like you have a seat that won't be taken away until the day that you die. That's not how the Most High works. That's not how it works. But our people being able to have the words written for us to navigate you through. We know history always repeats itself. So if you are paying attention to this and you being a student of history, the generation is going to repeat. There's not something that somebody on the earth has done that somebody else hasn't done already. People try to do these things with these fads in the 60s and the 70s. They came up with this, and then people don't know. But then they repeat it in the 90s and the 2000s, and they be like, look what he invented. Look how popular it is because of what he's done. That was copied off somebody else already. So this stuff has been done already. The same way the sin and the evil and the cycles and the things repeat is the same way you're reading in this book has happened. It's the same way it's going to continue to happen. So if you're a student of this or you're studying this, you're going to be way ahead of the game. But you have to remember the position that you were in. You weren't always there. So don't think that you are. Okay, you have to keep these things in mind. It's going to keep you grounded. Let's go to Ezekiel 16. Ezekiel chapter 16. Let's start at verse 1. Yeah, let's start at verse 1. Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 1. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. You see this repeated over and over and over again because they're so prominent with this nation. All right. Cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus saith the Lord God unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan, which is the land of milk and honey. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was an Hittite. Now, is this talking about literally? No. We know Israel descended from different people. These are Hamites, which we are not. So-called blacks and Hispanics are not Hamite descendants. We are from the line of Shem. Okay. So this is not talking about what it might sound like. It's talking about our people being caught up in the gods of those nations, following them. Because a lot of times you read in like Psalms 106, I think it is, where you read about Israel. I mean, you read it a lot of times in the Old Testament where the Lord tells them, go into the land, push those nations out, get rid of them. What does Israel always do? They go into the land, they push some out, and they keep some there. Eventually, they wind up mingling with the people, whether it be physically or spiritually or both, and they wind up following their gods. They do the same thing. So these people occupied some parts of these land until they were pushed out. But our people always mingle with the people and take on their customs. Hence why curses and the wrath of the Most High comes. All right. But again, we are not Hamites. Okay. So verse 3. As for thy nativity, in the day thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou wast not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. Now, this is uh, just okay. Bear with me as this, because I know it seems kind of maybe a little deep, and it kind of is, but it's not once you understand it or get the hang of it. So this is the Lord's painting a picture about how you take care of a child. When a child is born, you do certain procedures to a child. You have to nurse that child. You first cut the navels, different things you have to do. That a certain amount of care is showed to that child because it's can't defend itself. So you have to do different things to bring that child along. And the Most High is giving this picture about Israel. Israel's navel was not cut. They weren't supple. They weren't salted. They weren't swaddled. All right, just keep that in mind. Verse 5. None eye pitied thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou wast cast out in the open field to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou was born. Now, when we became as a nation, we came out of Egypt as a nation. That's when we were born as a nation. Okay, we went out 70 souls, went in 70 souls, came out as a nation. But the Egyptians hated us. Okay, there wasn't somebody waiting in the wilderness for our people to be like, come on, hang out, join us. There wasn't the Most High directed our paths and watched over our foreparents. That's what happened. But there was nobody else. You can pick up some like the dynamic of this in Lamentations. If you read Lamentations, it kind of paints the same picture. That Israel falls into the trap of thinking everybody else loves them. You see this all the time now. The Most High is always letting us know He's always been there from the very beginning. When nobody wanted you, when nobody loved you and was doting over you, the Most High has been there for that. He's the one that did that. Verse 6. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Yea, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Now, we know you would look at like a perfect chapter, Leviticus 15, when it talks about the uncleanness of a woman, her flowers, or whatever it may be. She becomes unclean because of the issue of blood. Okay, so she has to be separated for temple laws in the past. You see these different things. This is the way it's being, the picture's being painted for you to understand the same way. We were unclean. The same way Egyptian customs, the things that they were doing. That's why you read Leviticus 18. The Lord says, don't follow after the ways of the Egyptians. We are relearning everything, and the Most High is giving us law. When the Most High gives us law, what happens? We live. All right, real quick, Proverbs 7. You read the same thing in Baruch 4, but Proverbs 7 and 1 is probably better for a quick cut, if you will. Proverbs 7 and just verse 1 and 2. It says, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. Okay, so this is how precious and important the law is to us, because this is literally the things that keeps us alive. So this is how the Most High is painting this picture for us to understand the severity. Remember where you come from. Okay, stop with the high and mighty. Remember to be humble. This is going to demystify brothers and sisters you're around in positions, or just even without a position, a person that you might reverence, to a borderline idolatry. You don't really borderline. I mean, idolatry is idolatry, but I hope you get what I mean. You have to be careful that you are looking at man, okay, as fallible, as having inconsistencies, and um, not being surprised if they show themselves to be not trustworthy. They're man. Okay, you are one of the same cloth. You've been in that position. You've lied before. You might have stolen before. You've been in fornication. You've done all these different things that are not up to the standards of how the Most High wants us to live. So you're just like them. This is why you got to be humble. You look in the mirror, you shouldn't think of yourself better than somebody else. We've all been in that position of being unclean until the Most High comes along, snaps his fingers, wakes you up. Now live. All right, taking you out of that unclean nature. Let's go back to Ezekiel 16. Verse 7. I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field, and thou hast increased and waxen great. You see that when the Lord gives us that, that's how we continue to elevate through the law. Nothing else. Not the nations, not anything else. The law is the thing that's going to keep us safe and allow us to be a nation under the Most High in the proper order and how we're supposed to do things, dealing with each other, finances, business, whatever. Thou hast increased and waxen great, and thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, thine hair is grown, whereas thou was naked and bare. So you have to keep that in mind and remember that. Just like a child, he's telling you, as you as a child was naked and bare and not taken care of, the child can't fend for themselves. This is what they're helpless at the end of the day. The Most High is the one that stepped in and took us under his wing and taught us these different things, helped us to get out of our unclean nature, helped us to rid the minds of the other nations of how we think and try to perceive and make sure we understand what evil is. Because one time we didn't, we were just living that way. So the Most High gave us this particular understanding to do something with it. Okay, he gives you something, he expects something from you also. So Proverbs 1, 1 Maccabees 2 and 11, about ornaments, these precepts are ornaments. It goes back to the law, like you wearing the law as an ornament on you. It's like fringes somewhat. These are precepts for you to give you about ornaments, just to tie into what this chapter is talking about. Verse 8. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. We know love is keeping the commandments, okay? 1 John. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant with thee, saith the Lord God, and thou became mine. So now that covenant is being made. This is blood in, blood out. That's the way it works. We are covenanted with the Most High. We have an agreement. Our foreparents signed off on it. We got to fulfill it. People that come into the truth, don't try and blame them because you agreed to it. Now you want to flake. They don't work like that. The Lord will make you pay with your life. So when that was naked, we know in Exodus, Genesis, that's another word for being in sin, nakedness. Okay. Verse 9. Then washed I thee with water. Yea, I thoroughly washed away thy blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil. Sound like the same thing in Jacob. Okay. That water washing away, it'll give you the understanding of baptism and what the Lord has given you in the gospel to pay more attention to, because we know when Christ came, we're supposed to listen to hear. The Lord said, hear he him. Listen to my son. The Lord said the words that I speak will make you clean. It should give you bridge the gap between Old Testament and New. I'll leave it at that. I anointed thee with oil. Oil goes back to, let's get it, 1 Samuel 16 real quick. 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 13. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. It's talking about David, okay, before he became king. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. So this is another level of understanding with oil. Okay, should point to some, give you some type of context. So spiritually, if you're looking at what we just read in Genesis 28 about Jacob. So the oil, the understanding, that type of spirit, the Most High anointed us with. Ezekiel 16, verse 10. I clothed thee also with broidered work and shod with badger skin, and I girded thee about with fine linen, and I covered thee with silk. I decked thee also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon thine hands, and a chain on thy neck. And I put a jewel on thy forehead, and earrings in thine ears, and a beautiful crown upon thy head. So the Most High is giving you this picture of how you came from uncleanness and destitute and dirty and filthy to the point of high status and royalty. The Most High's done that. Ain't nobody else. It ain't you. It ain't your hard work got you here. The Most High has done all that. Verse 13. Thus wast thou decked with gold and silver, and thy raiment was of fine linen and silk embroidered work. Thou didst eat fine flour and honey and oil, and thou wast exceeding beautiful, and thou didst prosper into a kingdom. You see this with David and Solomon. Okay. Verse 14. And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty, for it was perfect through my comeliness. It was perfect through my comeliness, not yours, which I had put upon thee, saith the Lord God. Now, what typically happens when Israel, as you've seen, brothers and sisters you be around, now I'm sure some of y'all got real life examples. What happens when you're around them and some people act a certain way when they get to a level of position? What do their spirit turn into? Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and playest the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on every one that passed by. His it was. So now the Lord has now painted Israel as this. You read in Jeremiah about, in Isaiah about different times where the Lord refers to Israel as a wife or a bride or a woman. Israel is essentially, since being given all these different things, and you're supposed to be humble when you receive something because obviously you didn't have it previously. But that's not the level and the way that people take. That's not the thought process they have when these things happen. It's like pride. It's just the prettiest girl at the dance. Everybody wants to dance with it. Everybody wants to take a turn at pride. And you see it all the time. Now, since Israel has been given all these different things, instead of being humble, your spirit starts to turn and you start to feel yourself. You start to think of yourself more than you are. And you forget and you start to separate from what the Most High has given you. Let's go to Proverbs 18. Proverbs 18 and verse 1. Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. All right, so when a person gets to a level of pride based on a position or just thoughts in their head, whatever it may be, you'll tend to see them start to step away from. They can't be corrected. You start to see people's spirits switch up and change a lot. They're not really interested in the right answer or the way that they should do something. They're more interested in what they think. And they speak not to engage and to figure out a logical explanation or more wisdom on how to be righteous. It's more so the fact that they like to just hear themselves talk. You see people like that all the time in the world and in the truth. It shouldn't happen in the truth because the Most High is giving you more knowledge. You're supposed to grow in it, but people seem to take the reverse effect. But you see this happen. People speak because they want to hear themselves talk. They're only worrying about what they think. So they intermeddle with all wisdom. They separate themselves and they're not interested in what's right and what's wrong. They're only interested in what they perceive to be right and what's wrong. Verse 2. A fool have no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. So that's the purpose of people acting like this. When you came from a position of nothing, now all of a sudden you have deemed yourself better than everybody else. And these levels of uh, this level of elevation or positions, whatever the Most High has handed you, has somehow burned in your brain that you've always been here. Like you've always been in this position. It's not true. You know it not to be true, but eventually your thoughts, you deal with your thoughts long enough and you want to see something a certain way, you'll start to believe it. Like I remember, and we brothers won't try to get on me all the time, but it is what it is. Seinfeld, one of the greatest lines you'll ever hear to me in sitcom history is when Jerry uh, wanted to pass a polygraph test, and George told him, "Listen, it's not a lie if you believe it. It's not." It's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard. I don't care what nobody think about it. It is what it is. This is how people maneuver. This is how people's minds are. If you stay on it long enough, you're going to perceive that to be right. And a lot of people move that way. And they don't care about who comes along and tries to correct them. They don't want to hear that. They're only interested in what they want to hear and what they think. And this is going to align you on the path of judgment. You see these examples all the time. Let's go to Jeremiah 36. Now, I've asked this question in the past about what's the difference between an elder in the truth. Let's say you've been in the truth. Let's say he came in at 20. He's at 80. I don't care if he's been in the truth 60 years. I'm just saying that just for uh, embellishment. But let's say he's been in the truth a very long time, just for this scenario. And a brother that's been in the truth, let's say 2 weeks. What's the difference between them two? Is it a lot? Is it supposed to be a lot? I'll say that. The only difference that you see between them two, 60 years in the truth and 2 weeks, is that one person has experience, and of course with experience, under the umbrella of experience comes wisdom and understanding how to apply different things. You've seen certain scenarios come around more than once, so you understand how to adapt and get better at handling it better than you did the first time. Of course. My point is, an elder in the truth or a person that's been in the truth 2 weeks, those fruits of the spirit that you read about that an elder is supposed to have, that person in the truth is supposed to have it. There's no difference and no deviation from it. The same things that you see Christ teaching the disciples to be raised up in is the same thing that's going to be repeated with the same brother that come in next week or the following week or 8 years from now. You guys, the spirit of an elder is supposed to be on that newcomer. You're supposed to have the same thing. You might not be able to judge like him because you not had the experience, but you guys are supposed to share the same spirit. Just keep that in mind. All right. Don't let should I put this? Don't let a duration of time be the determining factor on how righteous you can be. Don't do that. Don't don't look at somebody as greater than you because they've done something longer. I'm not saying I have reverence. Scriptures talk about double honors to the elder, man. That's why I was talking about the older generation is supposed to leave us something to work with. We're better off for it. Um, so it's great to have people that's been laboring for a long time. We need that. We lacking it now. But don't think and take the side of, well, I can't I can't say this, I can't do that. Man, you've been on the truth longer than me. Nobody caring about that. Do what's right. That's what the Most High asked you to do. Jeremiah 36, start at verse. Let's start at verse 1. Yeah. Jeremiah 36 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, that this word came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Take thee a roll of a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel, and against Judah, and against all the nations from the day I spake unto thee, from the days of Josiah, even unto this day. Now time has passed. We're reading about the Babylonian captivity. All right, and then you have these, when the Babylonians came in, they took certain brothers and put them in positions um, not with the same reverence that they had. Um, Meaning, if you're a king in Judah, that's respectable enough. It comes with its own prestige, its own honor. But if another nation comes in and selects you to put them there as king, you're only playing a position and you have to stay in that role how they see fit. It's the same way people talking about, oh, we can fix things if we just have more people in as lawyers, as police officers. No, they can't, because the Most High is the one determining when who dies and who lives. So you're not going to stop anything, and you're trying to assimilate to society and a section of people that are evil inherently, and the foundation has been corrupt. Now you want to get into the corruption and try to fix it? It doesn't work that way. Stay out of politics. It doesn't work for our people. It never has. This is the way the other nations climb and get over on us, is because we believe getting into politics is going to fix our situation. All right. So you have the same thing happening here. Verse 3. It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I propose to do unto them, that they may return every man from his evil way, that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. This is the hope. This is the same reason when we go to the street. The hope is that you teach in Israel what's right and what's wrong, and they can make the decision to repent because they know this to be true. They know what they're doing is wrong. And you would think that they have that. Scriptures talk about changing from a stony to a fleshly heart. You would hope that's the case. Doesn't always pan out that way. Verse 4. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord which he had spoken unto him upon a roll of a book. So let's jump down. You're dealing with Jeremiah and Baruch. Baruch was a scribe of Jeremiah, the same way you read. There's that don't know in the Apocrypha about Baruch. He was the one that's being talked about in Jeremiah. Let's jump down to verse 8. And Baruch the son of Neriah did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading in the books of the words of the Lord in the Lord's house. And it came to pass in the 5th year of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed a fast before the Lord to all the people of Jerusalem, and to all the people that came from the cities of Judah and Jerusalem. Verse 10. Then read Baruch in the book the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, the scribe, in the higher court, at the entry of the new gate of the Lord's house, in the ears of all the people. So they're hearing this. Everybody's hearing. Baruch goes up, he follows what Jeremiah told him to do. Everybody's hearing these words that's proclaimed against Israel. When Micah, the son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, had heard out of the book all the words of the Lord, then he went down into the king's house into the scribe's chamber, and lo, all the princes sat there, even Elishama, the scribe, Delilah, the son of Shemaiah, and Elnathan, the son of Achbor, and Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, and Zedekiah, the son of Hananiah, and all the princes. Remember, we was talking about earlier, we didn't go to it, but in Sirach, I think it's in 45 where it talks about these princes are anointed too. Then Micaiah declared unto them all the words that he had heard, when Baruch read the book in the ears of the people. Therefore all the princes sent Jehudah, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushai, unto Baruch, saying, Take in thine hand the roll wherein now is read in the ears of the people, and come. So Baruch the son of Neriah took the roll in his hand, and came unto them. And they said unto him, Sit down now, and read it in our ears. So Baruch read it in their ears. Now it came to pass, when they had heard all the words, they were afraid, both one and another, and said unto Baruch, We will surely tell the king all these words. Now I want you to keep this verse in mind. Why were they afraid? Keep that in mind. You would think they're afraid the same way I would be afraid if I heard somebody reading that. That's not the case. Verse 17. And they asked Baruch, saying, Tell us now, how didst thou write all these words at his mouth? Then Baruch answered them, He pronounced all these words unto me with his mouth, talking about Jeremiah, and I wrote them with ink in the book. Then said the princes unto Baruch, Go, hide thee, thou and Jeremiah, and let no man know where ye be. This should you should understand a pattern of behavior here. If these brothers have told him before they go to the king, go hide yourself and don't tell nobody where you at. This should show you that brothers have been operating a certain way for a while. Verse 21. So the king sent Jehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber. And Jehudi read in the ears of the king, and in the ears of all the princes which stood beside the king. So once again, this is being repeated twice now. They all hear it. The princes are there, the king's there, they all hear it. Verse 22. Now the king sat in the winter house in the 9th month, and there was a fire on the hearth burning before him. And it came to pass that when Jehudi had read 3 of 4 leaves, meaning the parchment, he cut it with a penknife and cast it into the fire that was on the hearth, until all the roll was consumed in the fire that was on the hearth. Yet they were not afraid, nor rent their garments, neither the king, nor any of his servants that heard all these words. Nevertheless, Elnathan and Delilah sent Gemariah, and Deliah and Gemariah had made intercession to the king that he would not burn the roll, but he would not hear it. Real quick, we're coming back. Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31 and verse 8. It says, open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Now, you shouldn't have 2 brothers. They see something wrong. You see something, you say something, right? You see something wrong. It shouldn't be 2 brothers only acknowledging or opening their mouth. This should be a unanimous thing. But what you always have consistently is brothers are they're more afraid of men than they are more afraid of God. It always happens. This is the reason why you can honestly say when a brother operates the way he does or a sister operates the way they do, reckless abandon, if they doing these different things, you can honestly and coherently say they don't have the fear of God on them because they're only worried about men or people in front of them and who can see it. But we remember when we read in Genesis 28, the Lord said, I'm always going to be there. You have to worry about pleasing him and worrying about where his eye can see, which is everywhere. To the heights of heaven, to the depths of the earth, the Most High is going to be everywhere. So those are the eyes you have to worry about. Not worrying about what men think, but you only have a couple of brothers yelling out and saying anything. You have, because this at the end of this is plead the cause of the poor and needy. These brothers have a responsibility also, because you have children in Jerusalem. You have the elderly. People have families. You have brothers and sisters supposed to be looking out for each other. But since you want to separate yourself from wisdom, you want to hear yourself think and only want to follow your example that you set, which is not based on any law or moral that the Most High has given you. You've now gotten to the height of pride because you sit in a certain seat and you don't worry about the things that come out of your mouth. All right, just real quick, Job 15, before we go back to Jeremiah. I think it's Job 15. Yeah, we read this verse in another class before, but Job 15 and 11. Are the consolations of God small with thee? Is there any secret thing with thee? Why doth thine heart carry thee away? And what do thy eyes wink at? That thou turnest thy spirit against God, and lettest such words go out of thy mouth. This is the level that brothers be at a lot of times. And I'm sure sisters do it. I'm just more around brothers in general. And not, let me clear it up because I know brother Israel operating. Not saying that brothers I be around do that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm only in the realm most of the time of brothers. And you're seeing brothers put classes out. They're on the forefront of the truth. So you're usually seeing the things trickle down from them. Usually the stuff that go on between sisters, unless you're in a particular council, you might not know. Sisters, I'm sure, can speak on different things that I ain't never known about in the situations they go to because they're in that realm. So it's the same thing with brothers, even putting themselves out there. The level of vitriol and the stuff that they say that come out of their mouth is unbelievable. No fear of God is there. So the lesson is being taught from Jeremiah to Baruch, passed down to the princes, and all of them heard it. Only a couple of people are saying anything. Everybody else is comfortable with it. Now the king has enough pride on him to cut the letter and throw it in the fire. Let's go back to Jeremiah 36. That fear ain't there. They're more scared of the king than they are of God, which again was a position given to you. It can be taken away. Which you see the history of it happen to our people. Jeremiah 36, verse 26. But the king commanded Jeremiel, the son of Hamelech, and Sariah, the son of Azrael, and Shelemiah, the son of Abdiel, to take Baruch the scribe and Jeremiah the prophet. But the Lord hid them. Remember, the brother said to go hide yourself when nobody knows. So they know this is a pattern. They know how this brother worked. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. After that, the king had burned the roll, and the words which Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, Take thee again another roll, and write it in all the former words that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim the king of Judah had burned. So you have another roll once again, rebuking once again. You see this come to pass of the anger and the wrath that the Most High has unleashed on Israel with the Babylonians. You see it repeating with the Persians and the Medes. You see it repeating with the Greeks. You see it with the Romans up until now. The Egyptians. Israel is their own worst enemy always. They can't. It's like something they can't tap into to be humble. Can't just stay there. It's always got to be lifted up in some type of pride, and pridefulness is something that somebody else gave you. But if you have, let's go to Ezekiel 8. If you have certain situations like this, and you surrounded yourself with these lackeys, which always happens, you have an environment that has been cultivated for a while that people are going to go worse and worse and further away from what the Most High has called you to do. It's the same thing when you're reading like the Pharisees in the New Testament about Christ was calling them out and was saying that you're going far and wide to convert these people, these proselytes, and you're turning them into the child of hell twice over, just like they are. They're picking up these certain characteristics and stuff because this is who they learn from. And it's unfortunate, but again, if you become a student and studying what has happened in the past, you would be better off for it because you're not going to fall for these same shenanigans that everybody else seems to fall for. That's why we have these things written down. You got to take advantage of it. But again, study to show yourself approved. A lot of people are not doing that. Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 1. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in mine house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord God fell there upon me. And then I beheld, and lo, a likeness, as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of an hand, and took me by a lock of mine head, and the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem. Remember that, in the visions of God, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. So they're going to give you an insight on what the Most High has been seeing. Okay, because we don't always see it. We hear it. You can imagine the little bit of sin that we see. Imagine how the Most High is viewing from one side of the earth to the other. All the evil that the Most High is before his eyes all the time. So he's going to give a level of this to Ezekiel. Verse 4, and behold, the glory of God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. It's talking about idol worship. You see this happen as our people continue to pick up the customs of the others, and they find themselves worshiping gods that was not beneficial to the nation that God came out of. But somehow our people want to attach themselves to those gods and think it's going to help them. Verse 6, he said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do? Even the great abominations that the house of Israel committeth here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary. But turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, and behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in, and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things, and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel. And in the midst of them stood Jahaziah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Censer in his hand is, you ever seen one like the little ball with the incense coming out with the chain? Every man had these different things. Verse 12. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark, every man in the chambers of his imagery? For they say, The Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the earth. Now I used to wonder, how in the world is it that you read prophecy about people being killed in the wilderness after this? And it's not really that hard to figure out. Just thinking about this the other day. I don't know why it took so long for me to come to this point. As you see and you read the recycled nature of Israel, in the past, and to merge it with today, brothers and sisters say and do whatever they do, as evil as it may be, when the Lord's not there. When they can't physically see him, they operate based off of the flesh, not the spirit. So they say and do things. It's the same thing in the past. Now, when the Lord's in the midst, everybody's straight. They're cool, seem to be level-headed, keeping the law. But when the Lord decides to step away, it's got to be the same thing that's going to happen in the future. The Lord decides to step away and go somewhere, whatever he got to do. Israel seems to be left to their own devices. They have in their own mind. Hey, go to Aaron. Take your earrings off. Let's make idols. Hey, the Most High is gone. He seems like he's taking too long to even. Where does he go? Let's build this altar and do these different things. The pattern of Israel is madness. But you're supposed to be able to take the cue from them and be like, okay, let me not fall into this same trap and this madness. I know the Most High is real. I know the Most High has worked all these different things in my life. Let me not get simple and forsake him and have a level of pride, whether it be knowledge, whether it be vanity, whether it be a job. I don't care what it is. Don't let anything take the place of the Most High. That's what he says in verse 6, that I should go far from my sanctuary. That's what a lot of Israel want, to push the Lord out of the way. They want to use him like a genie to get what they need. But when the time comes for the Most High to hold you accountable and you have to operate a certain way, they don't want to hear that. A lot of Israel don't want to do that. This is key because you're seeing these are 70 of the ancients. And I don't know if people pay attention. We talk about Christianity and religions a lot of time when we use the scriptures to fight off religion and defend it against the madness of Catholicism or Christianity, whatever. That's in the world. When you understand reading the Bible and the truth of the Bible, you realize that these stories are written about people that know the law. And a lot of the times the pattern that's repeated in the evil, the sin, the murder, the conspiracy against another brother, someone discord. This usually is stories told from those that are in high positions and have been in this, elders, men of renown, whatever it may be. You see this happening a lot. These are supposed to be the pillars. This is supposed to be them. Supposed to be them. This is the reason why I said don't let a deviation or a duration in time, Don't let time make it like you feel like you can't speak up or say something. Because right is right and wrong is wrong at the end of the day. It's what the Most High is calling us to do. And you're reading it again. The second role in Jeremiah being made to go and do it again. They burnt it. I'm gonna give you another one. This is uh, the level of pride and sternness that these brothers' spirits had on them to do these things in the face of all adversity. Not worrying about what men think, not worrying about what somebody might perceive you as, even though you're supposed to be, you're on the right side of the fence, but you start to get away from that because all eyes are on you, and they're not gonna like me this way no more. It's crazy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 1 real quick. Deuteronomy 1 verse 16. And remember, brothers are supposed to be raised up like this. This is how you're supposed to be raised up. Deuteronomy 1 and 16. And I charged your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. Judge righteously. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. Talking about Moses. But this is the criteria that the Lord has laid for us. Why are you afraid of this guy? Or why are you afraid of this guy? I don't care what level he's at, level 50. He got to the last stage of the video game, whatever it is. You make sure that you are standing austere like Christ did. That's why people looked at him and was like, isn't this Joseph's son? Isn't this Joseph's son? Where you come from? This man, but he spoke with so much authority that people respected him, and they couldn't cut this man with the word because he's coming directly out of here. He didn't care what nobody thought. He doing what the Lord asked him to do. Let's go to Galatians 2. We're almost done. Galatians chapter 2. Let's start at verse 3. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised, and that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privily to spy out our liberty which we have in Christ Jesus, that they might bring us into bondage. If people don't know, this is talking about the Galatians, Paul writing this epistle to them to help them to understand that there are people out there that are trying to take away what Christ gave you to bring you back into the old covenant of animal sacrifice. There's brothers out there that's trying to use different things that we know to keep as law, but they're perverting it, and they're trying to force you to follow it how they follow it, even though Christ came and set a new marker for us to follow. He's the standard. It's not Moses. It's not David. It's not Jeremiah. It's not nobody. It's Christ. Not saying them brothers as righteous as it get, but this is what Christ said is what we're supposed to do. Now you have people coming in unawares as using different things to try to get you, manipulate you to bring you back into the old covenant, back into bondage. Verse 5. To whom we gave place by subjection, no, not for an hour, that the truth of the gospel might continue with you. Meaning they didn't entertain that BS. They know that this has to be spoken so brothers and sisters could be better off for it. Verse 6. But of these who seem to be somewhat, whatsoever they were, it maketh no matter to me. God accepteth no man's person. For they who seem to be somewhat in conference added nothing to me. Meaning they ain't burden Paul. But he letting you know, people of reputation makes no difference. God doesn't respect any person, respective persons like that. The Most High is going to hand out judgment how he see fit, and it's done righteously. So you'll read the same thing in like Wisdom of Solomon 6, where the Most High is not afraid of no man. What are you going to do? He's made you. He crippled your life in an instant. Paul speaking the same way. Verse 7, but contrariwise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of the circumcision was unto Peter, those that don't know, the uncircumcision is talking about the Gentiles, aka the Israelites who are living a Gentile life, versus the circumcision being the Jews who were raised in the law. typically the Pharisees, the Sadducees, so on and so forth. So you're still dealing with Israel across the board. It's just that Israel is known as the uncircumcision or uncircumcised because they are without the law. They are unclean. Same kind of thing we read in Ezekiel 16, all right? Verse uh, 8. The circumcision, the office of the circumcision that goes to the Jews that know that raising the law to be taught, to teach them through the understanding of Christ, Peter was given that office. The ones that were the heathens, Israelites that don't know it, given like the following of the Greeks and stuff like that, and leftover cities from those captivities. Paul was traveling throughout Asia Minor and different places to give them the law through Christ. He was put in the office of the uncircumcision, all right, still Israelites. Verse 8, for he that wrought effectually in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision, the same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles. And when James, Cephas, talking about Peter, and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave to me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship, that we should go unto the heathen, and they unto the circumcision. Only they would that we should remember the poor, the same which I also was forward to do. We talked about this in the churches of Macedonia and stuff like that. The nature of looking out for brothers and sisters. Same mentality always. But these are seem to be pillars, all right? You know, people say those phrases like so-and-so is a pillar in the community. He's supposed to be a mainstay, like the position, like I mentioned before, about being anointed, princes, kings, these positions of longevity. Those come with great reputation. Not just the position, but the person that's taking that seat should be of great reputation. He should be something that nobody can speak against. He doesn't have things on his record that people can bring against him to be like he's unworthy of the seat that he commands. All right. Verse 11. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed. Now, Peter, Christ told him, I'm going to build the church. You're the rock we're going to build this church upon. So people knew who Peter was. High respect for Peter. This man was a righteous man. That might, in some way, for other people in situations that come about, could deter somebody from speaking up and saying the right thing when the situation presented itself. Paul was not like that. Paul withstood Peter to his face because an event took place. Verse 12, for before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. So what happened was, it's just like you see at like a lunch table. You in school, you'll see like a situation where somebody pops up with their tray and they're just like, hey, come over here. And you know you've been hanging out with this guy that nobody likes him. He's not really that cool. He's not in the cool crowd. And instead of being genuine like you've been with him, you turn and you go to the cool kids table. It's kind of the same thing. Peter did that. Peter's a pillar in this. He's supposed to be like, you know what I mean, high level understanding. He's been shown so many things. He walked with the Lord. But it shows you we're cut from the same mold. Even though Peter's in this position, he can still have a human situation pop up and fall for it. But you have to have strong pillars around you to hold you up, to support you and correct you if needed. That's what pillars do. They support a foundation. That's what they're supposed to do. A person's only as good as his circle. If you got suckers around you, then you're a sucker. That's the way it works. But if you have strong men around you, even though one of them goes off, he's going to correct it. It's like you have 20 brothers that's doing the right thing. One person comes in doing the wrong thing. They have a certain spirit on them. They're going to force that brother to change, or it's going to weed him out. But if you have many people come in and everybody's doing what they want to do, then this is going to be a room full of chaos. It's the same way you look at, like I mentioned earlier, about who you're taught from, who you're raised up under. Like you have Elijah and Elisha, if you haven't read the story about the prophets. Elisha was given a double portion of Elijah when he was taken up. That's what Elisha wanted. He was given a double portion. He was found worthy of it. He was brought up under him. He was teaching him different things Elijah was showing him. He said, when the time comes, if the Most High grants it, you get the double portion. And it was granted to him. It's the same way, look at it from the opposite side. If a person's wicked and you're coming up under somebody wicked, you've been given a double portion of their spirit. You become worse than they were. You don't control your mouth. You say whatever you want. You have hatred for brothers. You'll steal this when nobody's looking. Do all these different things. That spirit in you is going to continue to grow. Just like the light's supposed to increase in you, that darkness is going to increase in you too, if you want to choose one side or the other. But Peter was a person willing to stand up and say something. Let's go to, let's read it again, verse 12, before we go to Sirach. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which are the circumcision. So he's worrying about those that are raising the law. How they going to look at Peter because he's hanging around people that look to be heathens. They unclean. They weren't raised like us because you had this friction between who was raised in the law and who wasn't. How they perceived each other. Verse 13, and the other Jews dissembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with the dissimulation. So you have this pattern. If a person does not stand up and they follow to do the same wicked thing, everybody else is going to follow you. Peter commands respect. If Peter's doing that, then people are going to see him do it. It's okay for me to do it too. You have a level of influence with you, whether you believe people are watching you or not. They are. So you have to be careful with the things that you say. Let's go to Sirach 4. We'll come right back. We're almost done, y'all. Sirach 4. Verse 21. For there is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace. You have two situations that could possibly kick off at that point, but they didn't. You reading like in Sirach 20 about don't be so bashful around somebody and it calls you to sin. Like you have such a reverence for a person that they can say and get away with anything, even though you're supposed to be a fellow pillar with them. You're supposed to be a person that's foundation is going to correct them. It's a level of love and keeping them out of the way of judgment. It's what Jeremiah tried to do with Zedekiah and the rest of the princes. They didn't want to listen. So they got judged. Paul's doing the same thing. A certain level of love. I got to correct you, man, to your face. He's doing this in front of people so they can understand it. Many people was carried away with this because you have this changing of the guard happening, and that's a very delicate situation where people are changing over from Moses to Christ and understanding what Christ was fulfilling and what Moses was written about. This is a tough time. So you can't have flakes like this. You can't have situations like this. There is a shame that bringeth sin, and there's a shame which is glory and grace. Accept no person against thy soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. And refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good, and hide not thy wisdom in her beauty. For by speech wisdom shall be known, and learning by the word of the tongue. So you can't be in a situation where you're just like, I ain't gonna say anything. I mean, I don't know he buying on the Sabbath, but I ain't, he cool. He know the law. I ain't gonna say nothing. You can't do that. You can't be in a position where you're supposed to correct the brother, especially if you're rolling with him. Like, y'all, you watching this stuff happen, and you're just like, not me. I'm not worried about it. That's hatred. But Paul saw what happened, and Paul had a level of understanding because if that crumbles, let's go to Psalm 75. Psalm 75, verse 1. Unto thee, O God, do we give thanks. Unto thee do we give thanks. For that thy name is near thy wondrous works declare. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. Remember, Paul's given an office too. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. Selah. So Paul understood if that crumbles, how are we supposed to Israel can't come back together. How are we supposed to fix this thing? So he understood, I'm a fellow pillar. I have to pick up my slack. And now it's been an occasion for me to speak up. And this is something that I'm exercising that I've always learned. It's just a situation. This could have been a turning point for Paul. Paul could have been like, that's Peter. What am I supposed to say to him? Christ said he gonna build the church on his shoulders. I'm not supposed to say to Peter. Paul ain't take that, man. He understood. I have to say this now for the betterment of the nation. So back to Galatians 2. Verse 13. And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with the dissimulation. And Barnabas was rolling with Paul. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? What's the point? What's the point of you going to speak the message if you just acting like somebody else? You faking. Just go live your life. It's pointless. Verse 15. We who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles, they need the help. Even though those of the circumcision didn't understand everything either, putting two and two together with the old and the new, they needed help too. That's why Peter was fulfilling that office. But you still had this precious thing happening and a changing of the guard happening, that both sides needed to be on equal playing field to understand how to bring them back together. But what is the point of you doing what you're doing if you're speaking one message and you're operating differently? It's useless. You're a hypocrite. These are decisions that people have to make, man. Because we're all supposed to be pillars in this thing, aren't we? We're supposed to be the ones that are upholding different things. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. Back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Wisdom of Solomon 10. Verse 6. When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man who fled from the fire which fell down from the 5 cities. This is talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, talking about Lot is the one that escaped. Of whose wickedness, even to this day, the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony. And you have it should show you the level of madness that this world tries to go about teaching young children and teaching, putting the message out there that this perverseness of men being with men and women being with women is something normal and natural you're born with. It's not. It's disgusting. And people's minds are seared with a hot iron. So eventually, again, like in Proverbs 18, they just want to hear what they want to hear. But the Lord destroyed 5 cities for this. Destroyed it. And to this day, it's soot and ashes. That's a testimony that people that won't believe. And plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness. Listen. And a standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul. Now you have the option. You can be a pillar in God's house, anointed with the oil, having a certain spirit on you, understanding what you're supposed to be doing. You can be this type of pillar. One way or the other, both of them are a legacy of memory. Which one you want to be? Both of them have works to fulfill, either a righteous one or a wicked one. You have to do things to be wicked. You have to do things to be righteous. You might as well choose the right side, because the Most High is stepping up to give you what he's always promised. Same thing he told Jacob, showing you the kingdom of heaven. This land is going to be yours. All the things and the people that come from you, that seed is going to be blessed. You're supposed to inherit all this anyway. You can be that, or you can be the memorial, like Lot's wife, a pillar of salt. It's a reminder of an unbelieving soul. Verse 8, for regarding not wisdom, they get not only this hurt, which is the fire rained down, that they knew not the things which were good, but also left behind them to the world a memorial of their foolishness, so that in the things wherein they offended, they could not so much be hid. It was that bad. The things that was happening in Sodom and Gomorrah was that bad. And the disobedient nature of Lot's wife, just to don't look back. People might look at that and be like, oh, that's a small thing. Well, that's a command. It's the same thing with everything else. You put fringes on. That's a command. Don't go into a woman that you're not married to. That's a command. Somebody be like, why are you going to kill him because of that? Well, listen, the brother in Numbers 15 gathered sticks. They put him in war, and the Lord said, kill him on the Sabbath day. Well, that's harsh. You don't make the rules. The Lord told you to do something, you execute it. That's how it's supposed to be done. The Most High said, I'm going to help you anyway. Just be obedient. That's all. Most guys are obedient to the girl they trying to get. Most sisters are obedient to an abusive man. Why not be obedient to the Most High? Two choices. Pillar of unbelieving, soul, a reminder for the foolishness, or a pillar in the house of God. Let's get Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. This is something that is allotted for you. Don't allow somebody, through bashfulness, through a certain reverence, don't let somebody take away what the Most High is trying to give you. It's his pleasure once again to give you the kingdom. No man can help you get there. You are getting there on your own merit. Alright? Verse 12 is the point. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, a mainstay. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. So, we all have decisions to make at the end of the day. You learn what you can in a limited amount of time that we have. A lot of your days, is people talk 24 hours in a day. If you're lucky, you spend 8 hours sleeping, spend 8 hours at work, an hour making food, a half an hour in the bathroom. You're left with, 7 hours. So basically every day you get up at 8 a.m., consider the day over at 2. That's a short time. Push that out for years. We don't really live that long. Scriptures talk about it's like our lives like a shadow of death. It's not, like a shadow. We don't live that long. So you might as well take the time that you have and appreciate it and try to get and develop the best way you can, because it takes time to learn this thing. I'm trying to tell you, people who have been in the truth know it takes time to learn this thing and to refocus and readjust your spirit to try to be righteous and line up with the Christ, greatest man that ever walked the earth. So, let's close out Leviticus. and 24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, which have separated you from other people. So, I pray that brothers and sisters got something from this. Listen, don't take this stuff for granted. None of us know how much time we have left. Appreciate what the Most High has given you, what he's shown you so far, and just build upon it. Be the pillar the Most High wants you to be, so you can never have to go out anymore. You don't have to live this trash life anymore. You're looking for something better in the future. All right. Happy Sabbath, brothers and sisters. I pray that it helps somewhat. Lord's will, pick back up next week. Have a good day of rest. Shalom, y'all. Most High in Christ bless.